One Piece Pirate Warriors 4's second DLC pack of its second character pass is based on One Piece film Red, with the new characters being ones prominently featured in the movie. These include the main new character / antagonist of the film, Uta, who can also form change into her armoured appearance from the I'm Invincible scene, a new version of Shanks in his costume from the movie designed to show off a much more powerful version of the character that we've come to know from the movie as well as the manga, and last but not least, we have Koby finally making his playable Pirate Warriors debut after being in 2 games as an NPC, although now also in his film Red outfit, same as Shanks. He also has the NPC pre-timeskip outfit as an alt costume. Alongside the characters, Episode Pack 2 was released with the new Koby's Combat Chronicle mode, an endless endurance mode that slowly increases in difficulty and rewards with a small story added in early on. To see this mode in more detail, feel free to check out my video where I explain how it works and how it changes as it progresses. Soul Map 2 was also included in the episode pack and raised the level cap to 27 with its new stat upgrades, as well as raised the available skill slots by 2. Once again, we have a new batch of skills to go over. First we have Soul Seeker, which boosts the chance of souls dropping from defeated enemies. A great new skill to go along with the other material farming skills, and works well in Koby's Combat Chronicle due to the mode's already high amount of soul rewards and drops. Next is Coin Muncher, a skill that heals when picking up money but destroys it upon collection. If you have maxed out your berries and have no need for them and also prefer to use heal builds, then this is a useful skill that will see play. However, once again, low health cheat death builds are still the best and healing reduces your max damage potential. Also, most players still need to upgrade their characters, so destroying money isn't exactly a good thing. Next is Guts, which revives you one time with low health. This skill, on the other hand, is great for low health builds, as it gives another layer of protection from dying that prevents you from having to constantly micromanage your health and guess whether you're at the 1 HP threshold or not, and whether it's time to go hunting for health drops. The heal is instant and doesn't really protect you, so there is a chance you could die again right afterwards if you aren't careful. But the heal is just enough that it should prevent that most of the time, while still keeping you at a low enough health threshold to be able to quickly return to the optimal cheat death percentage. The skill takes 2 slots, but with the extra skill slots we receive from each soul map, that isn't as much of a problem anymore. Next up, we have Iron Wall, which increases defense by a flat amount. A nice and simple skill to increase defense. Not as good as Undying since there's no HP requirement, but still useful and a nice skill if you still have slots to fill in your build. Saving the best for last, we have Top of the World. This skill increases your special gauge refill rate, but only in the air. This is effectively another concentration you can equip for even faster special refill, but since it only works in the air, characters with little to no air moves unfortunately won't benefit much from it. It might make you change your playstyle up a bit for some characters to spend a bit more time in the air than usual just to get specials back quicker, and it does help, but even with the skill equipped, some characters struggle to fill the gauges up with just their air moves. Characters that spend most, if not all of their time in the air, however, will benefit from this skill greatly, namely Sky types and Sky type form changes. Mileage may vary on how good a character's inherent gauge refill will be, but aside from Crocodile, you'll barely spend any time on the ground, and so will benefit from the boost almost constantly. And for Sky type form changes, it will be constant. If a character can fight in the air, or even if you just need a slot to fill, this skill should be a go-to alongside concentration. Also, as a quick addendum, in the last tier video I misinterpreted what the Rocket Man skill does. Rather than boosting your power dash, it increases your normal dash, aka your running speed. This is even indicated in-game by the circles that appear while running to indicate the gradual speed increases, and I still misunderstood. I'm an idiot. Regardless, this actually makes the skill not as good, since power dashing is still faster than running with the skill equipped. Some characters such as Snake Man Luffy are exceptions due to having faster running speeds. It has some use if running while waiting for stamina to refill due to how much longer it takes now because of soul map upgrades, but that's still a bit of a niche use. Now, on to the characters. Testing was done at level 18 on True Pirate Warriors to compare with everyone else for fairness. This is also based on the patch before Roger's pack released, so any buffs for certain characters will be addressed in the next tier video to keep this video focused on the game's state during the film Red DLC. First up, we have uuuh. Uuuh is a technique type with air combos. She has slow normals with low damage and armor break that can be tricky to time correctly, and has a lot of players calling her bad and begging for a buff. However, uuuh is another of the technique characters in this game that heavily revolves around her unique mechanic, with her normal attacks intending to be used mainly for setup rather than damage. Her unique mechanic is that she can spawn presence and musical notes with ground combos and some specials that can be detonated with a ground or air charge attack. The ground version has uuuh drop a note that detonates the presence. This can be held down to increase the size and damage of the explosions. The air version can be held to suspend uuuh in the air and draw in surrounding presence towards the center underneath her for repeated small explosions. This can deal decent damage to enemies, but requires them to be in a precise spot they can easily, and often do, walk away from, so it's inconsistent. The normal ground charge is also not great as the damage is minuscule. However, the charged ground version is where all of uuuh's damage and game plan lies, as luring an enemy into the minefield of presence and music notes and then detonating them does huge damage that destroys the armor gauge and can even one-shot in some cases. Damage can be a bit inconsistent, but stacking more presence alleviates this and raises the chance of a one-shot. The only trouble at this point is uuuh being a bit slow to set up, but the tenacity skill can help prevent flinching, and proper spacing and planning can make it safer if a bit slower. uuuh has a fairly slow special refill, and Top of the World doesn't help that much, but she has good specials to make up for it. Let's Just Have Fun With It is a good choice for a special, as it is a quick source for lots of presence in one move to be detonated immediately for good damage. uuuh's 4-star special All Dreams Will Come True is also a good source of damage and armor break. She has a counter special, but it's not that good and doesn't target enemies very well. You're much better off using some of the other damage and or presence spawning specials, her Full Force Burst, and her Form Change that transforms her into a Sky type. In uuuh Night form, uuuh's normal attacks become much faster and are now intended to be used for damage, as they work much more like a standard Sky type's moves. She has pretty good damage and armor break on her normals, but nothing special. Her combo 3 works like Doflamingo's Parasite moves, in that she takes control of enemies and forces them to move away and then towards her. The difference here though is that Doffy spun enemies around and did huge damage to them that made him a fantastic character, while uuuh does next to no damage. After much testing, I found that this move is seemingly intended to be used for combos rather than being its own damage tool. In particular, it combos well with 2 of her specials. Her 3-star special has her spin a large ball around and throw it, but the startup animation takes a while. If you use the second attack of combo 3 to send enemies running back towards you, they'll reach you just in time for the attack to start so you can safely combo into it. Her 1-star special has her circle around and dash forward with her jetpack, then release a blast after charging for a bit. The blast has good damage if you can line up the spread perfectly and is super effective against giants, but you move around so much it can be really tough to space out correctly. If you activate it at just the right time after sending enemies running forward with the first hit of combo 3, you should catch up to them and line up perfectly for a huge hit. It can still be tricky to steer and relies on where the enemies are placed when starting the attack, but with practice it becomes fairly consistent. Her 4-star special is also good as a simple damage and armor break tool, as well as a panic button when Logias or Law activate Full Force Burst. Overall, a good but high effort character. It takes a fair amount of work to play this character, so it would be nice if they were better, but I'd say she's still in the top half of the list. One problem is Logia Law armor break in Form Change can be tricky, as the only burst option is the 1-star special, which is hard to land without combo 3. Thankfully, base form's minefields are very effective against armor, so it isn't a major problem. As of this patch, mid to low A tier. Don't really think she needs a buff, but if enough people gaslight the devs, and themselves, into thinking she does, then that'll make a pretty good character even better, which I'm all for. Next is the film Red version of Shanks, who is now a speed type with air moves. He still has a mechanic to buff his sword, but it has been changed. Instead of needing to finish a normal attack string and wait for an animation to finish, Shanks now buffs his sword instantly when starting a normal attack string after finishing any other normal or charge attack. He can also start attacking again almost immediately after these attacks, chaining together moves in a seemingly endless attack string. Strangely though, none of his combo attacks are buffed by his charge level like before. It seems to mainly give a slight buff to his normal string. However, if you buff the sword again, it raises to a second level, which then changes his ground charge attack into an instant armor break move. This instantly depletes the charge and returns him back to 0 to start again, although it doesn't take long at all to get it back. In Full Force Burst, you always have a level 1 charge and only have to buff once to get to level 2. Shanks also has instant armor break on the 6th hit of his normal attack string, which has good range for multiple enemies. This doesn't require any sword charge, and as a speed type, Shanks can reach this attack fairly quickly and consistently. The first attack of Shanks' ground and air normals allow him to teleport to the nearest enemy to begin attacking even faster. Unfortunately, this move is inconsistent and either barely works, if at all, or teleports you halfway across the map in one go. It seems to work better when there are no enemies close to you on any side when facing distant ones, but I'm not sure. Shanks' special damage is also very good. Like Oden, he can instantly break multiple enemies' armor and then use a special to wipe them out in one blow. However, Shanks' specials seem just a bit weaker than Oden's, with some having weird hitboxes or coming up just a bit short on damage. They're still good though, and his normal attacks and combo attacks are a bit better than Oden's, even if Oden can reach his armor breaks quicker. So it evens out and puts them pretty close together. This Shanks is a vast improvement on the old one, and being compared to Oden in this game is huge, as he was one of, if not the best character in the game. Easy S+. Next, we have Koby, a speed type character with air combos. Despite being a speed type, Koby has a unique mechanic closer to a technique type, complete with giving him a pink aura to go with his green one in Full Force Burst to make it look like he's both types. His mechanic involves him summoning Marines to aid him with different attacks. The Marines can be buffed up to 2 levels by attacking enemies with any move or special that doesn't summon them, indicated by the pink aura that appears. The increase is inconsistent, as only one attack is needed for level 1, but level 2 requires multiple attacks to activate. Level 1 adds more Marines to combo attacks, and level 2 turns them into Giants. Unfortunately, the Giants don't do much damage, so they aren't as useful as I thought they'd be, and not much better than the regular Marines that aren't too strong either. Ground charge attack doesn't use Giants and instead upgrades the Marines' guns to bazookas that do decent damage. In Full Force Burst, Koby is always at max charge, which is nice but not game changing. It does let you spam the bazookas, which is funny and good against minor enemies, but not that effective against bosses. Thankfully, Koby doesn't need the Marines, as everything else about him is great. His normal attacks have good damage and armor break on their own, and are fast since he's a speed type. He has 2 good 2-star specials, Razor Strikes and Tempest Kick Convergence, that are multi-hit moves with good damage and armor break. His Iron Leg Barrage 4-star special also has great damage. Koby also has an instant armor break special with Interception that is invincible for the duration, allowing you to safely attack without interruption. All of this combined allows Koby to freely combo enemies in a variety of ways by chaining together all of his tools in unique and fun ways that can often prevent enemies from having a chance to interrupt, and even if they do, he can interrupt them right back. Koby is a surprisingly good character that I struggle to put lower than S+, if not high S. Before we wrap up though, there was something else added in this patch. For whatever reason, Onigashima Battle Luffy received some buffs. He was already one of the best characters in the game, but now he just might be the best. In both base form and Gear 5, Onigashima Luffy's cinematic specials now have the ability to ignore invincibility. It doesn't matter if a Logia or Law enters Full Force Burst, Luffy can ignore it and do damage without breaking their armor first. Considering I've based my ranking around characters' ability to deal with armor and invincibility, having a character who can straight up ignore both pretty much secures their seat at the top. Add to the top of the world helps him generate specials super quick and effectively lets him spam Gum Gum Lightning, and the positives just keep coming. Also, Bajrang Gun now has an extra blast at the end of the attack that doesn't really do anything, so that's cool, I guess. And there you have it. My very late ranking for the Film Red update for One Piece Pirate Warriors 4. But don't think on this list too much. It's going to be changing around a lot after the next, potentially final, update. The new update that is already out with who knows what changes. I haven't looked myself yet, but the devs say they intentionally designed Roger to be the best in the game, so I've gotta get in there and see for myself. Hope you enjoyed, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon with videos on the Legend Dawn update.